What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Janet Yellen says that we're going to see more bank failures. And I'll give you what the Fed says about raising more interest rates. Let's jump right in. Here we go. So here's what Janet Yellen says first about basically to expect more bank failures. Take a I know, can't make this stuff up. Take a listen to what she says here.
Madam Secretary, I wanted to ask you about the banking business, but as it relates to commercial real estate. There's a lot of worry, as you know so very well, about the state of commercial real estate, especially around office, and what that means to a lot of the regional banks, maybe not now, but come the end of this year, early next year, and the implications for that. Some people believe that there could be more bank failures. How concerned are you about that?
Well, I do think that there will be issues with respect to commercial real estate. Certainly the demand for office space, since we've seen such a big change in attitudes and behavior toward remote work, that has changed. And especially in an environment of higher interest rates, I think banks are broadly preparing for some restructuring and difficulties going ahead. But I think certainly stress tests of the largest banks show that they have adequate capital to deal with it. And I know the supervisors will be looking closely at a wide range of banks to make sure that they're adequately prepared to deal with it. But my overall read is that the level of capital and liquidity in the banking system is strong, and that while there will be some pain associated with this, that banks should be able to handle the strain.
Would you be supportive of more consolidation in the banking business? I ask in part because on the other side of the administration, I think the Department of Justice and the FTC in particular have been very aggressive about trying to prevent transactions, not necessarily in the banking space, but given how outspoken you have been and the issues that may be unique in particular to the banking business.
Well, I see strength in a banking system that has a diverse set of financial institutions capable of satisfying different needs across our economy. And we do have a diverse banking system with strong community banks, regional banks, larger banks that are involved in global business. And I wouldn't want to see that threatened. But certainly in this environment, some banks are experiencing pressure on earnings, and there is a motivation to see some consolidation. And it wouldn't surprise me to see some of that going forward.
Madam Secretary, virtually every interview that we've done over the many years with you, we've always mentioned crypto. We're going to have Brian Armstrong from Coinbase on the program in just a little bit. Obviously, there's the lawsuit that the SEC has now brought against them and the separate lawsuit against Binance just in the past week. I'm curious where you stand now on crypto, because I think there was an evolution in your thinking in certain ways. Maybe it's changed. I don't know. What's your sense for the American public who's thinking about whether to invest in the world of crypto today?
Well, you know, we recently wrote, Treasury contributed a set of reports in response to the president's executive order to examine the risks inherent in crypto. And we identified a number of risks, some of which risk to consumers, investors. Our laws are already strong. The SEC, the CFTC, and other regulators have the ability and tools to protect consumers and investors. And I'm very supportive of seeing those agencies use the tools they have. I can't comment on the individual matters the SEC is looking at, but I think it's certainly appropriate that they do that. And then I see some holes in the system where additional regulation, I think, would be appropriate, and we would like to work with Congress to see additional legislation passed.
I like how she said she wouldn't be surprised to see more what'd you say, bank consolidations and restructuring, which is basically what they do when banks fail. And then somehow in the same breath says, oh, banks are strong. We see strength in the banking sector. We've already had 3 major banks fail this year, which is like the second, third, and fourth largest bank failures in the history of the United States. All 3 over $100 billion. 2 out of the 3 were $200 billion. And then we also had Credit Suisse, a multi-international bank worth over $500 billion, all failed this year, just in the first half of this year. And she says, yeah, there's probably going to be more. This says the commercial market, there's like $1.5 trillion coming due here in the next 2 years. And this is with the Fed with interest rates already massively high. We've seen basically one of the fastest interest rate hikes ever in the history of the United States. We've had like 10 or 11 interest rate hikes here in a row. There's basically about a 50-50 chance that we could have a pause or a skip here. But even if they pause, it doesn't mean it's the end of raising interest rates here. Take a listen to former Fed president here, Dennis Lockhart.
Dennis, I'm not sure at this point whether, pause or hike matters so much as whether investors should think, based on how things are going, that the Fed has this inflation situation under control. Do they?
I don't think they do yet. I think we're living in a 4.5% world of inflation. There are some signs that can be grasped of declining inflation, but it's very gradual. And I think the committee still has a big challenge, particularly with a 2% target.
So why signal the possibility of a pause? Is it this thought that the credit markets were going to seize up after March, which at least anecdotally doesn't seem to have happened? And then how much pressure does that put on the CPI and PPI reports?
Well, I think the question of credit tightening is something that's on the mind of members of the committee, and they would like to see more evidence that it's happening, particularly if they're going to treat credit tightening as some kind of a trade-off with with further hikes. But overall, I think they can support a skip based on the cumulative tightening that's occurred to date, the factor of credit tightening, and the argument that there are lags that haven't kicked in yet. So those are the arguments I think that would support a skip. And it's my view that probably they will skip next week.
But Jamie Dimon, the CEO and the head of JP Morgan, actually the third largest bank in the world, says the Fed should pause rates, but he doesn't think they will for long. So basically, he thinks we'll see a skip, pause rates for now, and then go back to raising interest rates again. And people should be a little prepared for that. Yeah. And as you can see here, 1/3 of economists actually are expecting this as well, a potential hold for this particular meeting. And then 1/3 of economists expect a hike thereafter as well, as we're not seeing inflation come down anywhere near the 2% target that the Fed is expecting. We're nowhere close to 2%. So if they do this, it's just going to hurt Americans and businesses, especially the low and middle class, even more. Every time they raise interest rates, credit card interest rates go up, car loan interest rates go up, mortgage interest rates go up. And even if they just go up a little bit, even if they just hold them there, even if they just pause, the longer they stay high, well, the longer that your interest rates stay high on everything: credit cards, personal loans, auto loans, mortgage rates, leases, everything, everything. So this is really affecting America, and we're seeing major companies like Amazon, Walmart, Home Depot laying off people now. So, yeah, if you've been watching my channel, I just did a video on feast or famine. I'll link you to that video here next, and also what Walmart's doing. I'll link you to those two videos here now. So if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel. Click the bell icon so you don't miss out on any new videos. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country and around the world here on a daily basis. Also, thanks for liking, and please share these videos so that it helps our channel grow, get the word out, and anybody that needs to see this information. Here is the video about feast or famine. This is really it's a tale of what's happening here in our country right now. And this is what Walmart is doing right now, which is pretty shocking actually to a lot of people. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.